Okay, so we were working out of this one, right? The 518 VRTK. Okay, so let's kind of review this from last time. I'm going to go ahead and open up a, so we brought in VRTK from the asset store, right? And VRTK comes with all these prefabs and things like that. The easiest way to get started with VRTK is to go into the examples folder, and here's a whole bunch of scenes that have stuff that you might want to do in VR already built. So a good way to start would be take one of the sample scenes and use that as your starting point and then build out from there. For instance, we come in here and I'm going to go ahead and let's take the basic teleport. All right, so I'm going to click on this scene that says basic teleport. Now, one thing I don't get is we should be able to make a copy of a scene, but I have no idea why we seemingly can't in here. Oh, can I copy it there? And then can I go back out here? And can I paste it? Will that work? See, it doesn't look like it. Because it would be nice to be able to come in here and, you know, just duplicate this scene so we can start with a fresh copy of it. We would have to kind of steal it a different way, but whatever. So I just go ahead and double click on this scene. It's going to open this guy up. Now, just as a review from last time, we have this folder, this VRTK SDK manager. And this guy is created for us in all the examples. And we did a little exercise last class where we kind of went through the process of putting that together, right? I mean, we might as well use the pre-built one, but we gained an understanding of how this sandwich gets made. All right, so we have this VRTK SDK manager, which is just an empty game object. Inside of here, we have our SDK setups. So this is the part that's a little bit cryptic. So for Oculus, you have to have your OVR camera rig and your local avatar. These are things. So OVR camera rig comes from the Oculus Core. Local avatar comes from Oculus Avatar that we downloaded last time. So all these things would be nice to just take this as it is. So we have the thing for the Daydream, which is the Google mobile headset. We have Oculus VR. We have Immersive VR, which looks like it's made by Oculus, but I don't know anything about that one. Steam VR, which is the one for what's in that bag. And then the simulator. So all these things are our SDK setups. And then we have our setup switcher. Now, the VRTK SDK manager itself has this SDK manager script on it. So the way we accomplish things with VRTK is through all of these scripts that have a little pink pig on it. So these guys do things the VRTK way for virtual reality, and we just use those things to make it. And that'll make sense here in a little bit. All right, so this guy has the VRTK SDK manager script on it, and notice that it sees that we have Oculus VR. It sees that we have Steam VR, and it sees that we have a simulator installed on here. Now, notice that Oculus VR is higher up on the list than the other ones. You know, we can reorder these. So if I go ahead and launch this the first time, it should launch in Oculus. Okay. So notice up here it says it's running an Oculus VR. So it's running inside of this headset. All right. And we'll explore this here in a second. But I'm going to go ahead and stop this. Because what it does is it starts at the top of this list for ones that you have installed. And it tried to load the Oculus VR SDK first. If that had failed, then it would try Steam VR. If that fails, then the fallback is the simulator. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to move Oculus after Steam. Now, the Steam VR, which is actually made for the HTC Vive, which I have in this red bag over here that I'll be hooking up to this guy, it actually also supports the Oculus. So what'll happen is that it'll try to load Steam VR, notice that we have an Oculus, and it'll work. All right, so let me show you something here, how you'll know the difference. So we'll launch it. Notice that it says Steam VR, because Steam VR does support the Rift. Just get some hand controls in here. All right, you can see the hand controls on the screen. Uh-oh. There we go. Uh-oh. No, we'll go back this way. So this is basic teleportation, so we can move around our world. So that's what the controls look like with the Oculus when we're in Steam VR. If you remember from last time, once we brought the avatar in, we'll go ahead and let it launch an Oculus this time. And remember, our controllers will actually look like hands in here because that's the Oculus. See our hands? So that's how you'll know that you're in the Oculus one. But the same kind of control here works. So, you know, we just kind of proved we have a cross-platform setup here. Trust me that the HTC Vive will work with Steam VR better than this will. So if it worked with this, it'll work with that running Steam VR. Okay, so you saw me kind of jumping around there with teleportation. So instead of like before when we had our first person thing, we're able to walk around our world there. And actually, let me stand up here. It'll be a little bit... So this might be a way that you look at locomotion through your game world. Because you allow your player who's in here. So, you know, we can dance through here. All right. So now it would be nice if maybe I can interact with this ball, right? You know, because those are some things we want to bring into our scenes here. So let's open up another one of these sample scenes. Well, first of all, let me just show you how this scene is kind of broken down, so you can kind of see how to understand how the scripts are laid out. All right, so if we come in here and we go to the VRTK scripts, we have this thing called play area. Okay, and notice this play area has a script on it called VRTK basic teleport. All right, so this is the script written by VRTK that supports teleportation, basic teleportation. So they put that on this this play area. That's this guy right here. So it's just a game object that lives in the scene. All right, so basic teleport is not necessarily connected to something specific. It just has to exist in the scene, the script. So they gave an empty game object called play area that provided that. Then our left controller and right controller, I think they have them set up the same way. Left controller, they have this VRTK script called controller events. You'll see this actually pretty often in VRTK, because this is the guy that brings in, that knows how to respond to different events, like when you click buttons and you push stuff on the hand controls. So this guy has a pointer toggle button, that's the touchpad. pointer set button, grab toggle button, so for grip. So you can kind of decide what you want to associate with these different actions. All right, so here's a list of actions. So if we're going to toggle a pointer on and off, or click something, or grab something, or click something in the UI, what buttons do we want to have associated with those actions? All right, so we can choose that. That's the VRTK controller events. Then we have this script called VRTK pointer. Let me minimize this guy here. Actually, let me do this. Just going to close that since we're launching it with Oculus. All right, so here's the VRTK pointer script. So this guy is going to use a renderer for actually showing our pointers. That's that line that we saw. And the activation for this pointer will be our touchpad press. So that was this guy. So joystick button on here. You hold the button to activate. We select it by pressing the touchpad button again, so on and so forth. Then we have a second script. So these two scripts work together. The VRTK pointer and the VRTK straight pointer renderer work together. So the renderer lets us choose the valid collision color and the invalid collision color. So this straight pointer renderer, a pointer is effectively just a beam that comes out of the control. All right, and this guy, it's he's going to fly. He's going to go out as far as he can until he bumps into something, right? And when he bumps into something, a collision occurs. You're sleeping? I made him work at the beginning of class. Oh, really? Yeah, he carried all this computer stuff in. Move in, man. Move. All right, so they have a valid and an invalid collision color. So when the pointer is hitting something and it's allowed to bump into, it's green. When it hits something it's not allowed to bump into, it's red. So on and so forth. All right, so these scripts all working together. So the things that are involved in teleportation is a play area that is listening for basic teleportation. Okay, it's listening for that. And then on at least one of your controllers, you have to have the controller events as well as the two pointer scripts, the pointer renderer and the pointer itself. Now, in general, I find that teleportation is the hardest thing to set up. It's not that it's overly difficult, but it's kind of, to get it set up right away, it's a little bit cryptic, let's say. So I would probably suggest you pick the mode of locomotion that you like and use that scene as your starting scene. And then build everything else around that, okay? Or bring those objects into yours. So maybe you would just grab this VRTK scripts object and drop it into your game. And that would... you would probably grab both of these in that particular case. Okay, and just to kind of show that, let me click both of these. So here's our SDK manager and our VRTK scripts. And I don't think these scripts are necessary. Yeah, they're not. So I'm going to decide, hey, I like the teleportation stuff, and I want to go ahead and bring that capability into a scene of my own. So I'll go ahead and copy those two game objects. I'll go back in here to main. I'm not going to save anything from that scene. So here's my my base scene here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take out the main camera. And I'm going to paste my two objects that I took from the other thing. I don't actually think I'll need the directional light either, but we'll leave it in there for right now. Okay, so now I'm going to give myself a floor. So I'm going to generate let's do a cube. And we'll stretch this guy out.
Why don't we use a plane?
I think that the teleportation for VRTK works better on a cube. Let's try it. Let's actually get it working on a cube first, and then we'll try it on a plane. The last time I tried it, I believe it did not work as well on a. Put this at 0. Let's say that's good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save that.
Could it be that you just didn't have the collider on the plane?
It's possible. Okay, so now we're in our world. Everything should. Oh, a cube already has a box collider on it.
Yeah, but the plane has no collider.
Correct. Yeah. All right, so we're saying here that all I did is threw a big cube in here and I can teleport around. All right, so let's try it with a plane, and we can throw a mesh collider, which should work.
So, in the hackathon, do you require certain console? Like you have to use VRTK or can I use OVR?
Well, did you read the thing that said what the requirements are for the hackathon? Why don't you read that, then ask the question again?
Oh, okay.
Think Professor Josh Locklear sent that out? All right, so let's try it with a plane. There's our plane. Stretch that guy way out. Okay, we'll go ahead and run this default. And as you said, this probably does not have a collider on it. So everything should show up as not hittable. No. It works.
Have a collider.
Oh, it does have a mesh collider. Oh, okay. Well,
First time I've seen that happen.
well, in any case, it is what it is. So you can use a plane if you want, and then we have things that can we can teleport around on there. Okay, so I'll go ahead and save this. Now let's go back in and look at some other things inside of VRTK. So I'll go back to examples. So examples is going to be a good place for you to get kind of some an idea for the types of stuff you might want to do. So another good place to look at would be, so maybe you do a simple pointer. I think this is for selecting stuff. And let me actually do this. Click on game, maximize on play, hit play. So this is just pointing on to things. Am I actually able to select it? It's kind of a useless scene, but gives you a pointer nonetheless. And pointers do collide, so you can have a collision detection and do something based on that. So here's basic object grabbing. And this was actually a little bit hard to demonstrate with the default scene, but this is for picking stuff up, manipulating stuff in your world, which I assume most of you are going to want to do something with that in yours. So I'm going to end up probably bringing this into my scene with my teleportation. So I can reach out, I can grab one of these things, I can throw it. Think I could push that button. All right, so
You got a warning on your computer.
I got a who?
Windows update.
Took out time.
Is it ever?
Let's just say tomorrow. Okay, so in any case, but this scene doesn't have any teleportation stuff in it. So what you might do is you might say, okay, well, I want to be able to grab stuff in my game. So maybe we'll come in here. And let's look at our scene. And here's our world objects that we're able to click on. So let's click on one of them here. So this is that cube. Okay, so cube, no highlight on touch. We have another cube that's highlight on touch. So different ways you can handle these things. So if you want something that when you touch it, it lights up, and then you can actually interact with it. Well, let's look at this cube, no highlight on touch. So this guy's a normal cube. It's got a box collider, it's got a rigid body, and he has this script attached to it, the VRTK interactable object script. All right, so when you drop this script on it, it's going to have all these checked. I think these are checked by default, but it'll have stuff that says, you know, is this thing grabbable? Yes. How do you grab it? Hold button to grab. This is the grip button in the middle. Stay grabbed on teleport. So if you're teleporting around, do you want to drop it or should it keep moving with you? Where can you drop? Valid drop area. We can drop anywhere. We can drop valid snap drop zones. So we can actually add snap drop zones, or we can say you can't drop it. Once you have it, you have it. Which controllers do you want to allow to pick up? Both or just left or right only? So then we have a grab attach mechanic script. So these scripts, it's called a VRTK fixed joint grab. And you could also, there's another one for swapping the controllers. So these are the scripts that allow you to have these things connect to each other. And I think that these will automatically be filled in with this VRTK interchangeable or interactable object script. All right, and so then down here, we have this VRTK fixed joint grab attach. All right, so that's the script, and that's the one that's connected here. And what a fixed joint is when you reach down to grab it, it creates a connection between your controller and this object, creates a joint between the two of you. And there's a couple different kinds of joints. There's one that are hinge joints, and there's stretchy ones and things like that. But you know, these are the VRTK ways of doing it, and then it does the correct thing for the underlying API. All right, so if I want to, I can take, for instance, this cube. Maybe I like the highlight cube. So this one lights up when I want to do something to it. So let's go ahead and I'll grab this cube. I copied it. I'll go back to my scene. I'll go ahead and paste that cube in there. And let's make that guy bigger. All right, and I'll position it. All right, and this guy is going to be he already has a rigid body, he has gravity, he has a box collider, so he should just land on the ground. I think I had him hovering slightly above the ground. Oh. Yeah, man. Okay. Need to make him bigger so I can reach him. Actually, we'll do this. I'll just lift him up.
Why not give him a bigger?
That should be okay. I'll lift him up, and then I'll just turn gravity off. Oh, did the scripts not copy over? Let's look at my scripts. So here's that guy. We have VRTK, object grabbable. Oh, you mean it? No, it looks good. It's around the whole thing. Let me set is kinematic on the, might be when I turn gravity off. That also turned the physics off. I wonder if I'm not colliding with it.
Actually, not colliding.
It's like it's not letting the. Yeah, I'm going to put it on the other side of me. Because it is supposed to. Didn't I grab the highlight one? Yeah, highlight untouched. So it's not actually. Let me move it to my other side. Probably have a little bit better sensor coverage over there. Well, it's definitely. Let's see. Let's save this and go back to other scene. There might be another script I need to put on my hands to make them able to grab things. That could be the issue. VRTK, samples, basic grab object. Let's look at the hands here. Left controller, interact touch, interact grab. Yeah, that's the problem. So we already going to have the controller events there, but I need interact touch and I need interact grab. So that is the problem. So I'll go into my hands. There's my pointer. So now I'm going to do, I'll add a component, VRTK underscore interact grab. And then I need interact touch. So touch is when I hit it, it should light up. Grab should actually allow me to grab it. So I've taught my left controller how to do that now. The right controller, let's leave it like that. So I should be able to grab it with my left, but not with the right. We should be in better shape now, I believe. All right, so this is the right. Let me put him up in the air again. I'm doing this completely by feel, Van. All right, so this is the right. Actually, let's teleport around it so we can see it. So right can't do anything. Left, notice when I touch it with the left controller, it now lights up. The right, I didn't add that script to it, so it can't do anything. Left, I can grab it. Whoa. Like
use gravity, so.
That's right. But you saw the new Thor movie, this is like one of the scenes. We just did it. What do you think of that, Van? That could be Joseph throwing you.
Sure. Or you could play as an angel and wipe out Sodom and Gomorrah, going in, throwing stuff.
Yeah. You could play as an angel throwing your asteroid at City of Sin. All right. So does everybody see the issue I had? I brought the cube over. The cube had the right scripts on it, but I forgot to teach my hands how to grab and how to touch things. So we had to, and if you remember from last time, in this VRTK scripts folder is where we keep track of our left and right controllers. So things that we want to be able to do with those guys, we need to make sure we put the appropriate scripts in there. So you're kind of starting to see this pattern, how you can kind of pick the pieces that you like, then bring them into your scene as a starting point. Let's go into VRTK and look at a couple of other things that are interesting. So that's basic object grabbing. Let's say using a door. So let's say in your scene, if you want to have a door that you can use. Just going to give me some teleportation so I can get to that door. Terrific. You know what I'm going to do? So let's look at the scripts. Left controller, here's our interact touch, interact grab. Interact use is the only extra thing he has there. And then on this door, openable door. It's not a VRTK script though. Interesting. Well, it is a script. It's just not a VRTK script. Must be in this folder here for some of these things. So here's an openable door. Will be somewhere in here. Yeah, this guy right here. So whatever.
Oh, it's VRTK.
Well, it actually isn't part of VRTK's core. It's part of the script library that they have for their examples. Yeah. So, they have some stuff in here that you can use, like they have a thing for a sword, a zip line, rotate stuff. So lots of pre-built scripts that you can use for your project. Let's go back to just the normal examples. I want to keep stuff that's using the core library. Using a grabbed object. Here's terrain teleporting. So if we go into VRTK scripts, notice we have that play area still, but we have a couple of other things in here than just the, so in our play area, we have a thing called VRTK body physics. Then we have another thing called VRTK height adjusted teleport, whereas before we had a basic teleport. Okay, so height adjusted teleport is going to allow us to, it's going to allow our body to react with other things as well as where we are relative to our height. Left controller and right controller have our controller events, our pointer, our straight pointer renderer. So the identical setup is basic teleportation. But now we're able to teleport around an area that has hills and stuff like that. So now I can come up this hill because it's height adjusting. So my body was colliding with the terrain and I stayed at an equal height. But they should have probably not picked a green grassland with a green pointer, but whatever. Okay, so if you don't have uneven land, terrain, you can do teleportation on that as well. There's another kind of teleportation that I actually prefer. Yeah, here's a pointer with area collision. So this will show you a pointer where you can detect that you're hitting something. Oh, so actually this scene has the other teleportation in it that I like. See how this teleportation gives you, it's actually a Bezier pointer. You see how the pointer is not a straight pointer anymore? It kind of gives you this curvy area and shows you where you can land. I happen to like this one better. I don't think it necessarily matters, but I thought that was supposed to be the pointer scene. It looked like it was the Bezier teleport scene. Grabbing multiple objects, snapping objects on a grab, touchpad access control. Wonder what that guy has us do. Looks like something with his car. I think we drive this car. Okay, yeah. So we have this like remote control car, and we're driving him with the controller thing on here.
Now you're in the car.
No, we're the remote control for the car. Oh.
You lost your car.
No, he's back here somewhere. So I told you, you had too much wine earlier. Right, Joseph?
Yeah.
Oh, it was kind of fun, actually. Oh. Hey.
Oh, okay.
My back?
Slightly disappointing.
Oh. We got this.
Isn't that?
Well, whatever. All right, so let's see, haptic rumble if you want to give like a feedback into the controller. So, maybe like in Van Scene where like, the city's under attack or something, you want, everything to rumble. You have the hand controls rumble. Here's another kind of locomotion. So instead of teleportation, this is touchpad walking. So kind of driving through the scene. So if you don't like that idea of teleportation,
that one's gonna kill people. If you have victims land or something.
I was hoping I could turn.
Camera is your hand, so you have to turn your hand.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that.
That's gonna drive people crazy. Nope. Not flying.
Now, one thing you'll actually notice here pretty quick if you go in here. Well, just here, out of curiosity, what's your perception? Which would you rather have in a game? Teleportation movement or movement like that where we can drive around?
Well, movement like that is more better than like teleport. I think. Go ahead. It's like teleport. It's just like not real at all.
It's not real enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Working like normally human working, and you work by your hand more like lightning than teleport.
What do you think, Joseph?
I think it should be dependent on the kind of scene you have. With a smaller scene or landmass, a smaller terrain, the walkable should be okay. But if you have a bigger terrain, the teleport is
okay, so maybe teleport kind of lets you get around quicker, something like that. Okay. What do you think are some possible downsides, though, to the... how many of you have spent a significant amount of time in VR? Joseph's been in VR quite a bit. So most of you really haven't. How many of you... Well, so Tim's not even paying attention is what it comes down to. What are we working on?
What?
What are you working on?
I just shoot stuff.
Which class are you behind in? Why don't we share with the group?
All of them. All of them?
Oh, so is this 470 for tomorrow?
Sure.
Or is it not yet? that's after you finish this assignment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough. Whatever. So in any case, for those of you who really haven't spent a significant amount of time in VR, one challenge, and it's something you really do need to think about when you're designing things, and sometimes you don't know until you've actually done it one way and you've tested it, is motion sickness. Typically, teleportation gives less motion sickness than driving. One thing, we're going to break up here in a few minutes, and I want each group to go to like one of the machines again, take the same groups before, and test out some of these different things. Feel the difference between locomotion driving, where you're driving around, and teleportation. You'll almost instantly feel that, oh yeah, I can. After a few minutes, I'll start getting sick.
Well, it's the same. It's the same. Like if you're driving yourself, it looks like you're in the world that you play the game. So, example, you lost in the jungle, so you teleport. Like they have a certain amount of desired jungles.
Yeah.
You teleport. You done the jungle. The game is not worth it. Not worth the money anymore.
Gotta make a bigger jungle.
Then if you
gotta have more dangers.
Yeah.
You have to make traps and stuff. So you can't just haphazardly teleport across the land. You might die.
Basically, they can find a trick to cheat up you. Like, oh, this one I can go like on the middle of the water, and then I can teleport over the water. Well,
would actually be an interesting. So here's a possible idea for the hackathon. I mentioned this to another class. Well, this is another idea. So one class earlier today, I mentioned maybe a good idea would be something like VR laser tag, where you use kind of the pointers or something like that, and you create like a whole, scenario where you can kind of teleport around or whatever, but you have a whole bunch of enemies that are coming after you, and you can use nav mesh agents for them to chase after you. And those are the guys you have to shoot, kill them before they kill you or something like that. Just an idea. But related to this, how many of you have ever played that game Minecraft? What if you do Minecraft VR? Where you're standing in a thing and you look around, you see the stuff around you, and that's the current scenario. And you teleport, you move to the next spot, you might blow up, and you can do the whole rumble effect and stuff. Is that a horrible idea?
Well, I was thinking like Minecraft is like.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Minesweeper is what I'm talking about. Minesweeper is what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm sorry. The old Microsoft Windows time waster. Yeah, sorry about that. I did not mean Minecraft. I don't know. That could be kind of fun for. Yeah, that's something. Go ahead.
So I've got two questions on kind of fixing the design issues that teleportation presents that Van was talking about. So one, would it be possible to limit the radius that you can teleport in? So it's just a small circle around you where you can actually teleport.
I think there is a limit.
Point across the room. You have to point 5 feet in front of you.
Yeah, so let's go to basic teleport here. And I think it has to do with the pointers. So we go to left controller. So I think you can only teleport as far as you can point.
Right.
Yeah, so you change the maximum length. So let's change the maximum length here to maybe 20. And that's with my left controller.
So then you can work better than when you teleport.
Next thing you know, you got carpal tunnel from over teleporting. All right, so I said left controller. So left controller. So right, I can get to there. Oh, that's not any better.
20 is a long ways.
100 is more longer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So I need to make it more realistic. So maybe make it 1 just to give the
right, because
the extreme
1 unit is supposed to be 1 meter.
All right, so we'll make it 1. I was just going off of the 100 thinking, oh, well, that's like the normal length. But when you pointed out there to oblivion, the line just kept going.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I'd rather walk than.
There you go, Van. Get out of the jungle.
That made you more crazier on motion sickness.
I don't know if it'd make you motion sickness, but it might make you crazy. I could barely reach the ground.
The teleportation script, does it have the fade out and fade in?
I think the other one does. Not the basic teleportation, but there's another teleportation. And what do you mean fade in, fade out?
Like it doesn't just appear, it fades to black and then into the next where you are.
Oh, the motion sickness prevention thing. Yeah, there's a I'm trying to decide, was that just doing it? I don't know if that was just doing it.
Yeah.
It was doing a flick to black.
You saw it flicking black?
Yeah. So instead,
so it seems like it
flicked black and it was very jumpy.
Oh, so I see. So you want the one where it gives you less of it's less jumpy, but still goes against motion sickness.
No, I'm just asking, is that incorporated in the script?
Well, that's
something we have to.
I guess I don't necessarily know the answer to it. I would be surprised if it's not.
Kind of like frame blending or something.
Let's look at the play area. Here's blink to color, blink transition speed, distance blink.
Yeah, the blink to color, that's what it is. And then the speed.
And it's set at black.
Yeah.
So you would set it to what, a different color?
No, it's automatically in there. It's not something additional that I would have to add.
Oh. You were wondering whether that was just something in this special scene or whether that came with the script. I understand what you're saying. Not that you wanted to do it differently, but
Right.
okay, I got it. Okay, so why don't we do this for right now, just so you can kind of feel the difference. Why don't we break into the same teams we had last time, go to the different machines and get VRTK loaded up and test, have everybody in the group test both teleportation and what was the other one called? The controller, touchpad axis control, I think is the...
Well,
or touchpad walking. Here's another one. Is this the one that we had done for touch? Oh, this looks like a different one. It's another.
Look at those frames.
I don't think this is what they think it is. I mean, I clicked on touchpad walking, didn't I?
No,
That's what I meant to click on.
you're on frames per second count.
Yeah, I see that now.
Actually,
So I want everybody to try teleportation and try walking to see which one you think is going to be the most appropriate for your game. Yeah, this is the one we did before. See, what I really want is I really want to be able to like hit this other controller to turn, like maybe 45-degree shifts. That way I don't have to like move.
It's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah.
And have to
All right,
switch
so
your chair around and around.
that's right.
Towards the table a few feet.
All right, so break into your groups and go ahead and get have everybody try out teleportation and try out walking, and then let's come back together in maybe 20 minutes or something like that, half hour, and each person can say which kind of motion, locomotion, would they do in their game and why.
Okay.
Well, let me stop the recording here.
Very well.